and welcome back to On the Fly. Today we're dealing with part 22 of our Swiping to Seattle series, the topic being the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins finished regular season with a 37-16-3 record, placing them first in the East Division. Their first round match against the New York Islanders, in which they lost in 6 games, knocking them out of the playoffs. Overall, the Penguins are a team that are on the cusp of another a deep playoff run, although they don't quite have it, but they will hopefully soon. Many Penguins fans are hopeful that overall they can put together a good team, although they are looking more and more just like a playoff team. Overall, their expansion draft strategy will protect as many of their star players as possible. For the forwards, it will be their top 6. For the defense, their top 4. And for their goalies, their top goalie. Now that we know about the team, let's look at the players, starting with the forwards. Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin both have non-movement clauses. Jake Guentzel, Jason Zucker, Brian Rust, Brandon Tanev, Kasperi Kapanen, Jared McCann, Jeff Carter, Teddy Blueger, and Sam Lafferty are all the forwards who meet the 2 forward exposed requirement. Zach Aston-Reese, Mark Jankowski, and Sam Miletic are all RFAs. Moving on to the defense, Chris Letang has non-movement clause. Mike Matheson, Brian Dumoulin, Marcus Pettersson, and Chad Riedel are all the defense to meet the 1D exposed requirement. Juuso Riikola, Mark Friedman both do not meet the game's played requirement, and Jesper Lindgren is an RFA. Moving on to the goalies, Tristan Jarry and Casey DeSmith are the 2 goalies that are eligible for the expansion draft. Both of them meet the 1 goalie exposed requirement. Now they know about the players, let's start protecting them. Starting with the obvious selections in Crosby and Malkin. Not much surprise here. They're 2 probably best players on their team, number 1, number 2 in terms of their center depth. These 2 players will be protected. Moving on down the list, Jake Guentzel and Brian Rust. These players are obviously their top line. I believe they'll be protected as, like I said, they're their top line. They are a playoff team right now, so their goal is to play with the best of them. So if they can keep their first line together, they will do really well. Next up, I'm going to protect Kapanen and McCann. I believe that these 2 players are beneficial for them. They provide that offense as well as that speed that they kind of need in order to beat teams that are a little bit older, because that's kind of the playoff matchups. You kind of build old, and with the young guys who are a little bit quicker, speed around them. That's what Kapanen does, that's what McCann does. Next up, I'm going to protect Teddy Blueger, and this will be my final protecting spot. I believe him over, say, a Zucker or a Tanev or a Jeff Carter, because Blueger just signed a deal today. Overall, I don't think they'd sign him unless they wanted to protect him in the draft. So overall, this is why I'm going to keep with Teddy Blueger. Moving on to the defense, Chris Letang is the obvious selection here. Then with the non-movement clause, best defenseman, kind of obvious picks. And I'm also going to protect Brian Dumoulin and Mike Matheson. Both these defensemen are their top guys. I'm not protecting Pettersson as he's not that great. I think they'll get rid of him probably in a trade soon. But overall, these are the defensemen I'm going to be protecting. And finally, the goalies, Tristan Jarry versus Casey DeSmith. I hope they protect Jarry and don't do another Fleury-Murray issue again. But you never know, it's the Penguins, so I'm going to protect Jarry in this situation. Now it's Seattle's turn. The 3 most important players the Kraken will take a look at will be Jason Zucker, Brandon Tanev, and Jeff Carter. Overall, these 3 players are of interest to the Kraken. As Carter, for example, he does bring that veteran leadership, which most rebuilding teams will need. Zucker is sort of similar as Tanev. They both bring leadership. Of course, Tanev's a little bit better of a player than Zucker would be, but Zucker does bring that leadership. I'm going to go with Tanev for my pick, mainly because I believe he's better than Zucker, and I think for the Kraken, Carter will be too old at the age of 36. I don't think the Kraken are looking for an older guy, especially when there's a player like Tanev available. I think they'd much rather Tanev. So with that, the Kraken will pick Tanev as their 14th forward, which checks the box of the minimum 14 forwards. If you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. If you liked it, drop a like. If you really liked it, consider subscribing, tell all your friends about it, and leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree with me. Until next time, see ya.